4th and goal to go to the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Now this one, Lane Kiffin compares Jaxson Dart to Eli Manning. Of course, because they both came from Ole Miss and everything like that. But Lane Kiffin, he knows a thing or two, right, about offense and about quarterbacks and all that and everything. So Lane Kiffin compares New York Giants quarterback Jaxson Dart to an Ole Miss icon. Wonder who that could be, huh? Kiffin praises former signal caller, compares him to legendary Ole Miss quarterback Eli Manning. The one thing was obviously with Eli, his numbers maybe were not always super spectacular, but he was there are always certain things you can always look for in college quarterbacks. Sometimes the teams they're on, like certain teams, right? Like LSU, they just churn out freaking believable wide receivers. A lot of times, like maybe Ohio State, just their wide receivers are just unbelievable. Alabama, some of these teams that But sometimes you also have to look at the quarterbacks that go to teams that obviously aren't quite as good, and teams that don't have unbelievable talent. I mean, I'm not praising Daniel Jones by any stretch of the imagination, but you go to Duke to get maybe a good education and to play basketball. Go to Duke. You know what? I'm going to be a wide receiver for Duke, and I'm going to win the Blitnikoff Award. That doesn't happen. Yeah, you have visions of being like maybe winning the Blitnikoff. You're going to go, you're going to go to LSU. You're going to go someplace where you're going to get the ball, where you're going to have So I'm saying, but sometimes you got to. It's not always looking at the guy's numbers per se, right? So like what Daniel Jones had, his numbers at Duke were not super spectacular. Then again, they're not super spectacular in the NFL either. But sometimes you got to look at there are other intangibles you got to look at, like if you're playing at Ole Miss, right? Former Ole Miss quarterback Jaxson Dart remains in headlines ahead of his rookie season for the Giants. Dart, who rewrote the record books during his time with the Rebels, helped transform the program under Lane Kiffin and company prior to being selected in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. The coveted signal caller threw for over 4,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions during the 2024 season while leading Ole Miss to a 10-3 record, right? A win in the Gator Bowl, and a number 11 AP poll finish. Now, the one thing that some people would do, and obviously maybe rightfully so, right, is I don't remember off the top of my head what the games were, but a lot of them were like he had 29 touchdowns and whatever it was, 6 interceptions. Well, they look at the worst teams that he played last season in those 13 games. They picked out like 8 or 9 games that he played against like really weaker opponent, and Dart really played well. But they also said that, well, you put him up against this team and this team. There was 3 or 4 games when he played against really good teams, and his numbers were not super spectacular. Right. So some of the Nancy negativities out there, they were talking, they were bringing that up. When the opponents was really, really good, Dart's numbers were not. The Rebels also earned back-to-back 10-plus win seasons. Now, this is also a little, once again, a little misleading, because when back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I started watching college football, some teams didn't even play 10 games in the season. Right now, because it's it's all about the Benjamins. We try to play as many games as we possibly can. Then what are we up to? I think it's 387 bowl games they're on right now. I mean, it's all you got to do. I looked at the new rule book in the college football just before I came on. All you got to do is win one coin toss during the regular. You don't have to win a football game. You can be 0-89. All you got to do is win one coin toss during the and you're bowl eligible. That's all you got to do. To me, it just the bowls are just they're just so much. Once again, I'm an old fart, so please forgive me. It just, once again, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and I watched in the beginning, if you were like 7-3, it was like, ooh, I don't know, it's like 7. We lost 3 games. I don't know. We may not get to a bowl game. We're 7-3. You had to have a good record to be in a bowl game back in the day. Now it's like teams are like 6-5 and 7-6, and it's like, anyway. I'm a Nancy negativity too. So, but winning back-to-back 10-win, it's once again it's a phenomenal feat, especially for Ole Miss. But I mean, they do play a lot of games. Now, it was tough to win 10 games back in like 1970s when Archie Manning was back there, right? Because they only played like 9 games in the season, maybe 10 at the most. So back 55 years ago, if the Ole Miss was going to have like a 10-win season, they would have to be undefeated. Back-to-back 10-win season for the first time since 59-60. And at 59-60, they might have been almost darn near undefeated. They might have been 10-1, right? Because, back then, they didn't play that many games. And they had a winning percentage of 74.36 dating back to 2022, Dart's first season at Oxford, which they won basically 3 out of every 4 games. Now he's adjusting well to life in the NFL while suiting up for the organization in the Big Apple. I think conceptually, I've pretty much ran all the same concepts, Dart said in an interview with Giants post-game host John Schmelk. John Schmelk, he's also on Big Blue Kickoff Live. He's been there for a while, too. Very, very smart. Very intelligent. He gets around. He knows his football. Dart said, and I think that's kind of universal throughout football. Obviously, the lingo and maybe some reads will change up here from here to there. And things are a little bit different. But what makes it much more complicated is obviously the players you're playing against and the scheme you're playing against. Having to go against our guys day in and day out has been some really good work. For me, something that's going to carry over in my aggressiveness and ability to push the ball down the field. And at the same time, I take care of the ball. You can look at my numbers year after year. I don't turn the ball over a lot, and I keep it on our side. Really excited to implement this offense more and more into some of my play style and whatnot. I'm really excited for the season. But Lane Kiffin has offered some significant praise for his former signal caller after comparing him to Ole Miss icon Eli Manning. I think there's a lot of Eli in there. Now, one of the things that there is not in there, okay, not even close, okay, is you look at film, right, of Dart in college. He's maybe looking down the field. What's he doing? Tuck it. He's running. There was a video. And it's true. There was a video of Gruden, John Gruden. Well, I can't remember. It's called Gruden. It's not Gruden Camp. I can't remember what it's called. But John Gruden always brings in a lot of these quarterbacks, like maybe before they get drafted or whatever. And he's sitting down talking to them and all. And there's a video I seen with John Gruden. He's like, explain to me what's going on here in this game against Georgia, right? And obviously Dart's in the shotgun. He gets the ball, looks down the field. Everybody's covered. What's he do? He takes it down and he takes off. And as he's running with the ball, John Gruden's talking. Dart's across the table from him. And they're looking at the video. And he's like, what would Gruden tell you to do right here? And he said, you got the first down. What would Gruden do? Because he's running with the ball. He got the 10 yards or whatever it was. And what would Gruden tell you to do? And Dart's, you can hear Dart's voice. Get the first down and get out of bounds. Right. What do you do? And what does Dart do? He's running down the field. He gets past the first line, the first down yardage. keeps running straight down the field into a corner, I guess a cornerback or a safety, whatever. Not only that, but he takes him on with his shoulder, right? And I think he gets away from that tackle, and I think he gets tackled by somebody else. So what's he do? He just takes the dude on. I mean, you got to love that, right? You ain't seen Eli do that. Absolutely not. But you got to remember, in the pros, a little bit of a different animal. He's not Josh Allen, but he hope he starts learning, because I mean, these guys may not try not to hurt him on purpose or whatever, but these guys are big, fast, strong. You keep trying to take on, it don't matter, cornerback, anybody. Something's going to happen. And I said, I think, if I remember from watching the video, he's running with the ball, and I think he makes contact, I think, with his thrown shoulder. Be careful of that. So Kiffin says, I think there's a lot of Eli in there. But then he has his dad in him, the defensive personality in him, where it takes over a little bit and he gets a little aggressive. But most of the time throughout the week and stuff, he's very calm. There is a lot of scrambling early on the first year, and then he really started to keep his eyes downfield and create plays alive. Stay behind the line of scrimmage and create big plays, which he did a lot, including in the last bowl game. Let's see here. Dart remains a rookie quarterback to watch, and he's one of them. Absolutely to watch. So, but there's a video here. On Giants Huddle podcast, John Schmelk says, I'm joined by Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin to talk about the Giants' first round pick, Jaxson Dart. So there is a video on that. This is where are we at here? This is from SI.com, but there is a video in there where Lane Kiffin does talk about Jaxson Dart. So, but of course, Lane Kiffin was there with Dart, right? He wasn't there with Eli. But I mean, you can you can see some similarities there and everything. One thing Dart does do is, he likes to push the ball down the field, right? So that's something to get excited about as well. But something, it's all going to be learned. Sometimes you have to give the defense, take what the defense gives you. That's a little check down or something like that. Okay. But Dart does like to push the ball down the field, which is cool. But one thing he's got to do, he has to, if you get the first down, slide, get the first down, get out of bounds, whatever you got to live to play another. But if it means, if it's the last game of the season or something like that, and you're trying to get a field goal to win the game, to go to the playoffs or something like that, I can see that. Sure. If you're in the playoffs and it means winning the playoff game to go on to the Super Bowl, and you got to hit contact with somebody, go for it, bro. If it means winning the Super Bowl, go right ahead, bro. Do what you got to do, right? But, I mean, it's a long season. Yeah. A lot of teams, got to be very careful. I mean, the Eagles had a phenomenal season last year, but one thing the Eagles were last season was very healthy. Right? If they had to put 4 quarterbacks in there like the Giants did last year, right, with Boyle and Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan and Dana, they had to put 4 quarterbacks in there. The Eagles had to put 10 different offensive line formations in there like the Giants did once Andrew Thomas got hurt and the wheels fell off the offensive line. It might have been a little bit different of a season. So staying healthy is huge, right? So.